Motherfuckers. We're back.
You all right?
I'm never fucking better.
All right.
Never better. I'll tell you why. Because we're starting a new game.
Not other things.
We're starting a new game.
We are starting a new game.
It's Lion, by the way. That's total baby better if I've ever seen it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're starting a new game.
We are.
What game?
And obviously I was excited about it.
What game were we playing?
I don't know, if some kind of franchise.
Some kind of franchise.
Yeah.
I'm a little excited about this.
I actually am too.
You're excited because you don't got to play it.
Yeah, I am actually.
I'm excited because I get to play it. Can I steal my lighter back from you real quick?
No.
I'm excited because I get to play this one, and we're playing the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah. Which I had no idea that there was a game.
So I knew there was a game. I've played that much of the game. Like literally under 30 minutes of the game.
Okay.
Played a little bit. I know very little.
Okay.
I know that this really stands alone, kind of on its own. It doesn't have anything to do with like the original film or the series of films.
Well,
other than it's the same area, the same woods, the same.
Well, I
think this is actually taking place a few years prior to that.
Sure, I have no idea.
I think it is.
I'm excited. I'm actually kind of relieved to hear that because I don't know how you'd gamify that movie.
Oh God, no! That would be fucking horrible, wouldn't it?
But
there's no way to gamify that movie. I don't know. That'd be dumb.
I don't know,
in my opinion.
But I'm excited about it. Mostly because I'm hoping that this is a bit of a kind of a nostalgia thing. Blair Witch is interesting. It's an interesting property.
Why is it so interesting?
So, I think it's because no other piece of media that I have been aware of has manipulated the zeitgeist of our culture so effectively.
I can only think of one other instance. Only one other instance where that literally caused mass hysteria. The War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
The original radio broadcast.
Yeah.
Literally people killing themselves, okay? Not cool, but an extraordinary piece of media.
It came out in the original film came out in what,
99?
99? Okay.
Like 99.
So we're talking about the birth of the internet age where
99 into 2000. Sorry.
You all right?
Sorry. God, it's all flooding back, baby.
All right. So it was shot and marketed in such a way that people didn't know if it was a movie or if it was a documentary or if it was a prank or if it was like unsolved mysteries kind of thing.
And then here comes a slew of found footage films after that, right?
It wasn't the first found footage film.
No.
As far as I know, the original found footage film was a French movie, I believe, called Cannibal Holocaust.
Right.
Which was like live footage intermixed with narrative elements, and it was almost... It was a horrible movie.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Well, I mean, horrible movie as in like, disgusting. It was terrible. But Blair Witch is an interesting property to me because like it at the time had made more money than any other movie in independent movies ever. Like I think it cost something like $50,000 to create.
It wasn't a lot.
It was almost nothing. And then it turned around and made several $100 million.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately, a year later, Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows came out, which was a completely different thing, which I actually enjoyed. I remember watching it and going, this isn't a good sequel, but it's an enjoyable movie. With loose ties to the original. Like, I understand, like, it's about like a group of people that are going to explore the woods that the original Blair Witch
they're exploring where it happened, right?
Yeah, they're exploring where it happened, but it's like in that universe, it was like the movie wasn't just a movie. The movie was a real thing.
Yes.
And it became like a thing at Burkittsville, or I think it was the name of the town.
Yes, Burkittsville, Maryland.
Sure.
Is where that happened, yes.
I don't remember.
My favorite part of that movie. They have like a tour guide. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Kind of a devil may care kind of character type of guy. Just doesn't give a fuck. He's kind of just like the epitome of Wheatus teenage dirtbag. Okay?
Okay. Sure.
My favorite line that character...
You understand it's been 25 years since I've seen this movie.
But this line lives rent-free in my head.
Okay,
He's like... He goes, no, we're not going to Burkittsville. God, I don't even piss there. Like, okay. That was one of my favorite lines of the whole thing. He's like, no, we're not going to Burkittsville. He's like, God. He's like completely appalled that they would even bring it up. Like, no way.
But I remember enjoying it. And then in 2016, the reboot / sequel came out.
Yeah.
And that one specifically, I find it very interesting to watch side by side with the original.
Yeah.
Because the original, it's very quiet. It's down to earth. You have mini DV cameras, somebody shooting on a 16 millimeter.
Yeah.
And then in the 2016, you have like this influx of technology, and they have their cell phone cameras, they have GoPros, they have drones.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of interesting to watch them side by side and go, okay, this is like pre-2000s. Everything's a little bit slower.
Yeah.
The technology is developing, and it's more accessible, but it's not quite there yet. And then here on the other side, you have a complete... Like,
oh yeah,
it's almost distracting.
The internet is a thing. You know, like it's everywhere now.
And it's like in the original, these were kids from the 90s that were born in the 80s or late 70s.
Yeah.
And then in the 2016 version, it's like these kids have never known a world without the internet.
True.
And it's obvious because, like in the first one, they're all prepared. They have their backpacks and their heavy hiking boots. Their rucksacks. And
their
the
marshmallows.
Next one, they might as well be wearing high heels in the woods.
Yeah. Dude, yes.
I just think that's really, really funny.
The one thing that always fascinated me about Blair Witch, right? Always.
Yeah.
And this is right from the fucking get-go. It's a cool story, right?
Okay.
But what's sexy about it is the build-up to the story. The build-up being, again, the internet was still in its infancy. And everything was becoming a .com, right?
Yeah.
They made a website. Again, very bare bones fucking website, but it was like the missing poster. Mm-hmm. These 3 film students are missing. We have no idea where they are. Help us find this. There's literally like missing posters.
Yeah.
That were posted.
Yeah, and I seem to remember like
this was a thing.
Crime scene photos.
This was a fucking thing. And so they really did a good job at setting the scene.
It's a giant hoax.
And it's 1000% fake. What's sexy about it is hilarious. The fact that it's fucking fake. But so many people bought into this because then here comes this film. And it's like, in this year, 3 film students from this university or whatever. I don't even think they named the college.
It was the year prior, right? It was
I believe
98 or something.
But it says like a year later their footage was found.
Yeah, something like that.
And then and then they let it run.
It's been a long ass time. I don't think I've watched the movie since like.
But it's so run and gun,
forever.
And it's so fucking sexy. And those kids, those 3 actors, are just improv actors.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you see them hungry and cold and wet,
they're hungry and cold and wet.
They truly were. They would receive notes at the beginning of a day saying, this is going to happen today, this is going to happen today, and this is going to happen today. You know, you need to make sure that this happens, this happens, this happens. Go.
Yeah.
Film it.
Yeah. That's incredibly fascinating to me. And
it is a filmmaker's wet dream to do a film like that. It really is.
I'll have to take your word for it. I've never really done that.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so well done.
I don't understand how. Okay, I do understand it. Like in the history of film, like the original special effects were literally just editing tricks, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you were going to have somebody's arm cut off or whatever, you would have them have an arm,
and they would
cut it.
Yeah, they would slide
and then
their
they
arm
would slide
down.
it back, and it'd be like, "Oh, the arm's gone."
Oh my!
And, oh my! Or they would paint on a piece of glass to give the impression of, "Oh, these people are on the side of a building," or something they're very basic tricks with like high depth of field and editing tricks that now we look at and we're like, oh, okay, that's a matte painting, or oh, okay, that was an edit, or and so when you start watching that movie now, it's really easy to sit there and go, nothing's going on,
because that's
everything happens off camera.
Everything happens
off camera,
and that's part of the genius of it too.
Yeah, it's the Jaws thing, right?
You never see the witch.
Yeah, the Jaws thing. Bruce didn't work, so they had to come up with something else,
right,
which was the tubs of air or whatever.
Yes.
And I think it's really fascinating as a franchise that has taken, like, a franchise perspective, 1999, birth of certain technologies, mostly like camcorders and stuff like that. And those kids didn't have cell phones.
No.
They didn't have cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone in 1999.
I don't believe so, no.
I think my parents had one, but I didn't.
Because that shit cost like $5 a minute at that time.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
shit.
exactly.
It was fucked up.
Yeah, like I was 16. I didn't have adult money. I didn't.
No.
Way. Like I didn't have any money. Let's just be honest.
Right. No.
And then versus 2016 when that other movie came out, or when the last movie came out.
Yeah.
And it was, I just think that's incredibly fascinating. And as you said, the marketing, it was this giant hoax that these people are actually missing or whatever. And it made people interested. It made people invested.
Yeah.
And then the movie came out and people were just like, oh, okay, it was just a movie. Especially like a few years later, I think the girl who played the main...
Heather,
the main female character, she was in another movie with the apple pie guy or whatever, and I remember watching it was either like Conan O'Brien or maybe it was David Letterman or something, and people were like, how have you been? And she's like, and they were talking about the Blair Witch Project and her being in this movie, and she's like, yeah, most people are just upset that I'm not dead.
Yeah, isn't it weird? Isn't it weird?
That's so fucking horrible.
She actually, so now, the last I heard or whatever, now Heather Donahue is in California, and she owns and operates a marijuana farm.
Cool.
I'm like, fuck yeah, you do. Like, that's awesome.
Awesome.
What? Like, I will say this: the genius, right?
Yeah.
Behind the Blair Witch, the film itself was the fact that, like I said, you never see the witch.
Yeah.
It makes it just fucking believable enough because you don't see anything over the top necessarily.
Unlike the other two movies.
Exactly.
But, okay.
That's what makes it believable.
Each of the other two movies, in my opinion, was sort of successful in its own, as their own movies.
Sure.
I do think that the beginning of Book of Shadows, and like I said, it's been 20 some odd years since I've seen that movie, but I remember thinking it was somewhat effective, especially towards the end. They had said some kind of nursery rhyme or something about who they thought the witch was and how she was always upset that like people were looking up her skirt or whatever, and one of the last shots is their murder victim being hung, and it's like the shot is like right up her skirt.
Right up
it's
her
like
skirt.
It's tastefully done. It doesn't show anything.
Right, no.
But it's very like, oh, suddenly that clicks. That's interesting.
Right.
And I do think that it would be an interesting commentary on what a media frenzy can actually do to people. But I also feel like it just didn't quite land on that respect. And then the 2016 movie, even though it was like me sitting there going, "Oh my God, these people are absolute morons and have no idea what the hell they're doing out in the middle of the woods." Let alone asking one of these people to pick berries. No, thank you. I'm not going to trust anything you hand me.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
But then I do think that when they actually showed, I don't know if that was supposed to be the witch or if it was just something that was out there in those very brief shots. I thought that monster was really effective.
Definitely.
And I think a lot of it had to do with kind of that budding technology. Like, it was very pixelated. It was very blurry. It was very out of focus. So it made it just believable enough that I found it effective in its own way. I don't think it's as important, and I do think that it was a cash grab.
Oh, definitely.
Off of the first one, which I do think is brilliant in its own way. At those movies on their own, you take off the name Blair Witch, and I think that they don't lose anything.
Yeah, I would agree with that totally. Yeah.
But the first Blair Witch, I will always remember being in high school, sitting there talking in my English class, and Mr. Dermody, our teacher, was trying to convince us that it wasn't real. And every student was like, "But at the website, but this, but that." And it's like, he's like, "Yeah, it's all easy to fake, guys." Like, he was smarter than we were because we were 16 and he was
an
25.
adult. You know what I mean? He's an adult at that time.
It's amazing what you learn in 8 years.
But the amount of hysteria surrounding
especially
that film.
for kids of our generation, because what did we do a lot? We, like, especially growing up where we grew up, I spent a lot of time hiking in the woods. And
in the woods.
It was a lot of fun, and that movie suddenly made it a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
The original, I remember being distracted a little bit because there's certain inconsistencies in the backstories that, like, the townspeople give.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take anything away from it. I thought it was a fun movie, and it was just a really interesting time, basically because of the budding technology.
Yeah.
And it kind of, like, it is a franchise, it is a franchise piece of media. It's not just the 3 films, because I did a little research, and there's a handful of books, and there's comics, and apparently a game that I'm really looking forward to you playing, man.
I am stoked to see what this game has in store for us.
Yeah, I'm
fully expecting to be lost in the woods. I'm fully expecting to be like,
the goal,
what
right?
the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, where are we going? I mean, all that shit.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. See what happens.
Let's see. Yeah. So, how many times am I going to say that here in the coming episodes?
Hopefully, quite a few. But I'm looking forward to it.
It should be good.
We hope you guys are looking forward to it. It's a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as I've only ever seen the trailer. As soon as we decided on this, I'm like, maybe I should look at a trailer.
Yeah.
And that's all I've really done. I'm looking forward to it.
It should be good.
All right.